Sulfur's first big area update hit us like a bomb. Forest is here, and there's lots of stuff going on inside of that area, so I wanted to comb over everything that I've seen and learned throughout my, I don't know, 10 to 15, maybe 20 runs through this area. It's a lot of fun. I am enjoying Forest. I haven't heard anybody have anything necessarily negative to say about it. Perfect Random already has kind of a perfect track record, especially for their first game. So let's get into this. Let's talk about everything that we've all discovered on our first experiences with Forest, and I'm gonna need you guys to comment below and tell me what you found. Obviously, it's all RNG. We're all gonna find different things, come across a bunch of different areas. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really fun. With any new area, we can expect some new enemy types, and that's exactly what we got, like some baby birds, some bigger birds, and the biggest birds, as well as a terror bomb, which is like a German Christmas tree, apparently. I was told that bomb means tree, and the song that plays, which the music in the update is phenomenal. That was to be expected. We already heard one track previously because we did a little sleuthing in dev mode. But yeah, apparently that's how the Germans live around Christmas time. Very disturbing. And of course, the grand prize we all get for waiting is a brand new gun, the Impala Gravata. I've already spent a lot of time messing around with that gun, and I even have a video with 5 builds for you to check out right now if you're interested in kind of getting weird and powerful with one of the more interesting ideas for a gun that I've ever seen in a game. It's a bow and arrow mixed with a gun. It's just great stuff. I wasn't expecting this, but the main draw to Forest is the amount of looting that can be done. There are chests everywhere. There's boxes and crates. You can break blades of glass. You could break. Why is that so hard for me to say? I'm like, actually, you can break blades of grass. I mean, you're actually more so, it's like you're breaking like a bush, like a little short bush, like Legend of Zelda reference. But the chests, that's the real draw here. Those chests are everywhere. The black chest, the brown chest, the red chest. Riches beyond your wildest dreams for the things you could sell in here. Sell them to the new vendor even, Jacques de Factor. He's gonna sell you the Impala Gravata if your name isn't the homie Dot, because he just seems to never have it for me. It's maybe 1 out of every 5 times. It got to the point where I was just running through the first few levels every time with the power bars and still barely finding him, and then when I get in there, he's got the hunting vest. But he can spawn with the Impala Gravata, sometimes more than one. And my guy Scrip is finally making a comeback. He's crawled out from the caves. I love Scrip. Everybody loves Scrip. He's basically this game's version of Grogu. He's the cute little vendor, the cutest NPC you could ever wish for, and I'm glad to see him outside of caves. It wasn't just the Impala Gravata that got added. There was also some marshmallows that got added, and that's pretty much it as far as new loot goes. Apparently, you can have a higher chance of finding Krogwano now. I only ever found it a few times, maybe 5 or 6 times throughout 300 hours before Deep Forest. They changed the name, by the way. What was that about? Why? I like Deep Woods. I think it was to be more on track with all the other names, you know, Cave, Town. They're all really simplistic names. Deep Woods might have been a little bit too special, so now it's just Forest. And all of the prior videos, I sound like a raving lunatic with some wild conspiracy theory. At least the comments will back me up. You can also find the crypt key on the ground now. It used to only come out of some random boxes or chests. It was always just the last thing you'd expect to see, but I found it on the ground once during stream. I'll see if I can find the clip of that happening. It might be kind of hard because that stream is a blur. It was just a total excitement, and I was just filled with adrenaline. I don't remember anything that like where anything necessarily would be, but I do remember finding the crypt key on the ground, which I've never seen before this. What does that mean for the mystery of the crypt key, which we've been trying to solve for the longest time? I don't know. Maybe the answers now lie in Sulfur, and that's why you could find it like an Easter egg drop, or it's one big accident and we'll never really know what's going on there. But there are some secrets and Easter eggs that have been found. If you find a body of water in Sulfur, you can make a damn good bet that if you dive in there, you can find some loot. And that is the case here. There's more chests down there, just like there is on land. The only issue is, if you thought water was murky before, try adding a lot of darkness in there, and you can almost see nothing down there, even with the diving goggles on. I'm not sure if it's intentional, but it's not very fun to look for treasures under the water, and I don't think I'm going to be doing it very often, unless somebody, maybe even myself, finds some big extravagant Easter egg down there, like a little pathway like Caves has in one specific area. You remember the skelly mazes and caves? We've got something similar here now with the graveyard, which can spawn about a half a dozen to 15, 20. I mean, it's too many to count. I don't even know why I attempted to count. There's so many ghosts that can spawn in the graveyard, and now it's made them very, very lethal. What's even better is there's a crypt, what I would call a crypt, I guess, in the graveyard. And no, the crypt key does not work in that crypt. I'm pretty sure they're fucking with us, and this is the absolute proof of that. If you didn't believe me before, they're messing with us. They're smart, okay? The perfect random boys over there, they're smart. Just be careful around those ghosts. I would bring something super strong, like an automatic gun or something, because if they start to swarm you, it's over. It's game over, man. So just be very careful when you're rooting around in forest. Honestly, be careful of everything. This is a very challenging area in a great way. I think the coolest Easter egg they snuck in there is you could find the Savwai, I think that's how you're supposed to say their name, guy heads up on like pikes, those green looking dudes that you saw in the trailer. You could find their heads up there, which is an obvious reference to areas that are to come, or maybe there's some secret way to find one in forest, but probably not. That's a really big stretch. I just think it's a reference to future areas. I don't even know why I planted that idea in my head or yours. I guess I just really want an Easter egg mini-boss because Sulfur makes so much sense for that. Borderlands has always had some really great Easter egg areas and mini-bosses. I think it was Borderlands 2 where you could fight a creeper from Minecraft. I mean, come on, that's sick. You could also go to Mario in one of the Borderlands games. And then there's like the big elder dragon thing you could fight, get the Excalibur or whatever. I think that one was pre-sequel. Sulfur has that same kind of cartoonish, goofy vibe that would really work well with some mini-bosses, some little secrets that you could find. It's a little bit more complicated because of the procedural generation, but I trust Perfect Random could possibly make it work. Forest would be great to have a werewolf or something jump out at you. There's already jump scares. Imagine if some big burly werewolf decided to come down on you hard and slash into your chest with his razor sharp claws. There's the pitch. And there's one other secret that I'm not going to say right away because I want to save it a little bit because it's super awesome. It's my favorite thing that I found in all the forests, and I always look forward to finding it. You're going to have to wait before I go ahead and unveil that little present for you. We do have to address that challenging comment I made. The difficulty of forest is, like, to be honest, it's perfect. We have to think of forest as the final level of the current game. Think of yourself as a new player who just bought Sulfur today. You beat Castle, you expect something really hard. For a lot of us, I don't know what we were expecting. We went in and we're like, oh, this will be fun, but they really hit the nail on the head with this. It's fun, but it is incredibly challenging. It's by far the hardest area in the game. Maybe because of the enemy types. I don't know what's making it so difficult. Definitely is a lot harder than any other area, in my opinion. And that is exactly how it should be. It's not like overwhelmingly difficult. It's not like sewer spawn issues difficult. I don't really ever want to go into sewers. Forest, I have a great time going through, and probably for the next 30 times I boot up the game, that's going to be the area that I most likely am going to be venturing through. I should have no problem replaying through Forest a bunch of times because Perfect Random did something with it that they haven't really done with the other areas in the game yet. And that's add like an open world vibe to everything. It feels like you can just travel around the whole area and spend a lot of time in one place and even get yourself lost because of that. That's neat, and I didn't think we'd see something like that until Desert because deserts obviously are very vast open areas and you would expect some sort of like open world vibe to that. So I think we can definitely think they're at least considering making Desert another open area-ish type level. And because of this big change up in map design, it's impossible to know what they're going to do with the next area, what their idea will be for that. All these great new ideas that are here, but there's still some oldies that are floating around too, like the trash people from the sewers are really the only enemies you're going to recognize outside of androids, which I did have one run with androids, so I can confirm that androids will show up. They're always dangerous. Just be wary of that. They're still very dangerous. Are they more dangerous than the new enemies? I don't know, those Hulks can really pack a punch and do multiple different things, like the sound waves, which are very similar, if not the same thing that St. Lucia could do. They can also put their arms underground and travel up to you to give you a big burly man hug, as well as probably smack the crap out of you if you get too close. I'm not stupid enough to get that close, except for when they jump scared me, which is the very first thing that happened when I started Force, was I got jump scared by one of these handsome blokes. But don't sleep on the other guys, like the invincible crow men. They could just Batman cape your bullets away, and they're really dangerous, especially when they start to group up. They too have a very versatile moveset that they can do to you. They can lunge at you, they can push you back, and they always pack quite a punch when they attack you. But they're not the true big baddies of the game. That goes to the freaking flying crow. I almost called them bats because I said baddies and I talked about Batman. But it's the crows, or the ravens, or the blackbirds. I think they're crows. They gotta be crows. They're craws, or whatever. When those things start to crowd around you, or crowed around you, if you would, which also sounds close enough to chode, which is not important. But what is important, if they start to crowd around you, be very careful. You're gonna need a gun that's accurate, something closer to hit scan. Don't do anything that's gonna have bullet drop on it. They're really hard to hit unless you've got a really crazy accurate gun, which is why I'm currently scheming up a gun to use exclusively against them. And if I do this video right, if I get this recording out right, that video will actually already be up. Hopefully, it won't take long to record and put that one up, because I hate those damn birds, and they're actually probably my least favorite enemies to fight in this because of that look up thing. You know, I come from Overwatch. Overwatch players, we don't know how to look up. I can't make you wait any longer, and I personally don't want to wait any longer to reveal my favorite hidden secret Easter egg of the game, and that is the cannibal house. Why is it called the cannibal house? Well, you're gonna have to find out yourself. If you come across a cabin in the woods, make sure to look around the entire area. It's the only area I've seen that actually has humans in it, like the mother and the son and the dad, or the orphan family, whatever you want to call them. They're there. I think some people call them townies. That might be the better strat name for them. I don't know. They're just trash people. They're the most evil people in the game, lore-wise. And this confirms it. By the way, if you don't want to know what's in the cannibal house, that's fine. I'm not going to reveal it. Just make sure you look around. It's just so awesome. I wish it wasn't so hard to find for me, but my RNG does not give me that house very often. If you don't want to look for it, or you don't actually have Sulfur and you just like the game itself and you're waiting for console or something, watch my stream that I did of my first time playing through Forest, and I think we went there a few times. We managed to get a few times on the first go about, but I have not seen it since. It's gotta be the best use of world building that we've seen out of Sulfur, and I love it so much for that. Not to say past levels don't have any world building of their own, but I really feel like this does a great job of show, don't tell, and it confirms our hatred for those fucks. Of course, we gotta talk about the boss of the game. That is the terror bomb. It's like a Christmas tree, pine tree thing. I don't know why the music turns all Christmassy. It works, I guess, and it's still a really cool fight. He does things that no other bosses are gonna do, like have invincibility pretty much everywhere but the eyes, just like the hedge maze trash people. He also does this thing where he moves incredibly fast around the arena and will destroy you very quickly if you get hit by that one too many times. I don't know what your armor levels are, but do not get hit by that. Start moving fast once he starts moving fast. As well as a vine mini game where, I don't know if I should call it a mini game, but during the fight he'll just start spinning these vines around you, and obviously little thorn vines are going to hurt you, so once again, it's a good opportunity to take some shots at his eyes without him moving, but be very careful because they hurt. Not as much as him barreling into you, but they still hurt. And then the coolest animation of his boss fight would have to be when he starts raining bullets down from the sky. I didn't notice too much damage from that, if any at all, to be totally honest, but it was still a really cool animation, and I'm glad it's in there. I think it could be a tiny bit stronger, that move. I don't know if it's great to give them any ideas like that, but I think it could be just a tiny bit stronger. Just a little bit. I'd say he's as difficult as St. Lucia. I wouldn't say he's any more challenging. It's just a different kind of challenge. If we can go back to the topic of looting real quick, we finally have a Carl Oscar farm, thank goodness, and some swing dings to throw in there. Just kidding. Fuck both of those. Those are not important. But there are rod sops aplenty, which means you could make the best healing item in the game as much as you want. You could use olive woods as a place to just get a bunch of health potions. It works really, really well. In each area, you've got a shot at getting 20 plus rod sops. There's also these new mud puddles that'll slow you down. I mean, they're not very intrusive, but they're there. And then also the weird little wood tumbleweed spike things that you could break open for additional loot that I forgot to mention earlier. That's pretty cool. Did I mention the jump scares? Because those are also really, they're scary. They're very scary. Jump scares always get me, and now I find myself screaming by myself, trying to be quiet as my baby sleeps. When those trees come down, you might get met with a man with meaty arms, giving you the greatest bear hug of your life, and the last bear hug of your life. There's also spider webs that you can get stuck in. Those are great when you're trying to run from 40 dudes that are all different types, some from the air, some from the side, some from 20 feet away, and then some bow and arrow dudes. It's very stressful in woods. Sweep the areas. Make sure if you're going to do woods that you know where everything is and you know where everyone is, because they'll start to gather quickly. They'll commune. So the last few susus, by the way, that's my little secret there. Instead of giving you a jump scare, I decided to jump scare you with information. I don't like jump scares in YouTube videos. I mean, I'm at a loss for words how much those suck and are outdated. So I wasn't going to do that. You thought. No, but you didn't. Because it's too much effort for me to try to plan a jump scare. And then, like, if it doesn't work, you look like an idiot. But yeah, this is the susu. I didn't put it in the title. Did I put it in the title? I don't know what I'm going to do. I might not put it in the title for a little bit. But if you made it this far, surprise, surprise, Susu. And that's not what Susu stands for, but if I wanted to change it, surprise, surprise would totally work. It's the Sulfur Sunday Summary, where I break down all the news that happened around Sulfur in its early access state, and probably beyond that, because I don't plan to stop doing the Susu. Welcome to week 8. I mean, was it 23 minutes of recording? I don't know how much I chopped that down to. I don't do a whole lot of chopping. I like the scatterbrain craziness. But yeah, we're going to break down all the news from Sulfur, and I already did that. The whole first part of this video was dedicated to how great the forest update was, even though you changed the name on me. Not cool, man. Oh, I hate when that happens. I pulled back too quickly, and I got energy drink in my eye, and now, like, yeah, I'm going to be way more energized, but that stings. I'll also go over things that I care about outside of Sulfur, but it's usually pretty brief, and it's things I care about, but I think could be topics of conversation. Speaking of the Susu, the last Susu, I said I was working on a bunch of Sulfur content. Expect some this week. Yeah, that happened to not happen. The second the week started, I got hit up by Perfect Random. They told me of the premiere of Forest, and I knew if I started on any of that other stuff, it might just be shaken and not important by the time Forest came out, so I'm glad they told me way in advance, a few days in advance. I don't know if that's way in advance. Not that I'm owed anything like that. It was an absolute honor to be able to help them premiere Forest and get a look at the trailer before anyone else. I greatly appreciate that. They're amazing people. I look forward to working with them even more in the future. There's some stuff that we might have to do, and I'll do my best to make it happen, specifically with them and yours truly. But yeah, those ideas, I didn't scrap them all together. I'm just gonna have to rework some of them. My notepad on my phone that I put down all my ideas for videos is gonna be a little bit different, and I'm gonna have to restart. That's okay. I would do that any day for more area updates or any kind of massive update. What the big ass update did for me was bring a whole bunch of new ideas to the surface, and it's gonna be even better as far as Sulfur content goes. I'm sorry if you like all the other roguelite and roguelike content. It's gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I don't know. We're probably still going to do Monster Hunter Mondays over on the other channel because I still love Monster Hunter, and I don't plan to really stop playing that as well. A great game, a series that I've connected with for at least a decade now. Super fun. But Sulfur will always have the bulk of my attention, whether or not we're waiting on an update. I'm still always thinking of Sulfur videos, and I'm still always looking for your suggestions and recommendations, or just things that you might need help with. So expect those if you ever ask for them. I'm thinking with these new enemies added, we might have to finally do an enemy tier list, and I know my other tier lists are getting a little weird now because guns change, durabilities change, new guns are added. There's only been 2 new guns and no new scrolls, so I don't feel any urgency to update and do new tier lists of those things, but at some point we will have to. I don't know, should I do it every 5 guns or any major gun rework patch or scrolls? That's the thing, this update only added 1 new gun, 1 new food, which isn't necessarily amazing when you compare it to how much stuff we got with the holidays update. That update added so many new options for clothes and food and a new gun. It was an incredible update. The lack of new loot doesn't necessarily hurt Forest, and actually gives me a clearer picture on what their ideas for updates are, at least for now. What I think that is some updates will specifically focus on loot and food and clothes and all that stuff, while other updates are going to focus more on new enemies, new areas, places to find that loot and everything. I love looting. It's one of the biggest, best parts of this game. There's like 800 plus pieces of loot or something. So for the average Sulfy, they probably haven't seen all that loot, and they still get excited and still question, hey, was this just added? Probably not, unless it was the marshmallows or the Impala Gravata. I'm not even sure if the Croguana was supposed to be spawning. Every time I did find it, it was weird, and I was like, the Crows aren't even in this game. It could have been an accident. Ultimately, what I wanted the most from Forest was a new area and new enemies, and that's what I got, and that's why I'm incredibly pleased. And that's just the extra cherry on top of the open world aspect that I absolutely love. It's a great update. If you didn't like the update, tell me why. I'm genuinely curious, because I think it scratched the itches that I was really looking forward to someone scratching those itches. That's a weird thing to say. Not as weird as Witchfire releasing its biggest update yet at the same time as Sulfur's biggest update yet. What was that about? I have no clue. But if you're not new to the channel, you know I also love Witchfire, so this was really a really difficult thing to come down on me. I was actually kind of upset. I was like, ah, damn it, the same day? The same day, the same concept of a new area on the same freaking day is crazy. It's okay though, because I still love you, Witchfire, and I look forward to playing Witch Mountain at some point. You ever heard of a game just suddenly wanting to become a roguelike even though it's successful? I hadn't heard of it either until Echo Point Nova decided to add a roguelike mode, and it's awesome. I covered it on the other channel, The Rebel Dottie. Make sure to check that out if you're interested in really well-playing games that also feature a roguelike. So go make sure to check that out. You may have noticed my last few streams I've been ranting and raving about how I can't get Pokemon cards damn near anywhere. So I just want to make a weekly point until I get those Pokemon cards that scalpers suck, and your willingness to take advantage of people's hobbies and their wallets is awful, and I think it's like you're like the lowest form of businessman, and at some point your whole idea and your whole scam that you're running is going to crumble, and I'm gonna guess you're not very responsible with your money. It's not a smart play, because not everybody's going to keep buying those cards. You get the first batch of suckers, and then everyone that's a little level-headed and is not willing to spend 4 or 5 times the amount of money for those cards, they're not going to come and they're not going to buy from you. So it's morals too. Like, you're a bad person if you do that. You know what you're doing. It's gross. Well, that's the perfect way to end a Susu Week 8, you know. End on something negative so that you don't want to come back. Just kidding, guys. We hit 1,000 subscribers today, which is absolutely amazing. I have loved this journey that we've spent together, mostly starting with Sulfur. Sulfur kind of hit the ground running for me. There's something that clicked with me and that game, and then that clicking happened with you guys, and I just loved all the time we've spent here. This will be the last anecdotal time I bring this up. It's got to be my favorite memory in content creation, and it happened with you guys. It honestly is last New Year's Eve. And I know you're probably like, he's mentioned this a bunch of times. I'm not going to mention it again. Like I said, it's my favorite thing that's happened. I uploaded a video. It was just a New Year's Eve run that I schemed up, and I shit you not, like 50 different people came through and said Happy New Year's Eve. And that's all you had to say. Happy New Year's or whatever it was. I don't think anybody says Happy New Year's Eve, do they? I don't know. Whatever. It was probably a mix of both. Not that that's important. But it was just so nice to see people that went out of their way to check up on me during a holiday. That is important. And I have family. I have my wife and my son. But to have that extended family, and that's the most parasocial shit you'll ever hear. Whatever. Like, I'm not your dad or anything. but you know, sometimes it feels like it. No. I really appreciated that. And you guys are all amazing. And the love and support and the kindness and the conversations are only going to get better. We're just going to keep growing the community to make some awesome content, and that's why I always love getting your ideas and inputs on everything, so that I make sure that I'm doing something that you actually want to see with my own little spin on it. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say this has been awesome. It's been an awesome ride We made it to 1,000. That's the first big milestone you look for on a channel, right? And I don't know. There's going to be a lot more to come. So look forward to more the homie dot stuff. My Sulfies, you're all maniacs, and I love you for it. There's just a couple of things I forgot to mention about Forest that I wanted to throw in here at the end. At the very, very end, even though I already signed off, it said, I appreciated you guys. That doesn't change, but there's a couple things that I just thought maybe I could throw in here at the end. And I'm not going to be using my camera because I look like this right now. And I'm running behind on time, and I don't want to get up, turn everything on. Like, I got a whole system in place, and if I get this video out before 9 p.m. my time, it'll be a gosh darn miracle. You know what I'm saying? Gosh darn. Who says that? Nobody. I've noticed every time I got the cannibal house, I heard like a strange sound would play. It sounds like this. Listen. That's like a person cackling or something. I don't know. It's very strange. It happens in the loading screen. If you hear that cackle, look for the cannibal house because I do believe it's tied to that. There's also no lore moment at the amulet charge inside Forest, so there's no additional lore being had outside of Jacques de Factor and the cannibal house. And a quick one, I don't know if I could even find a clip of it, but I've noticed some guns are reading with backwards text inside of chests. You open a chest, it's backwards. It's really strange and pretty funny. All right, now I'm actually gone for now. I almost said forever, but that's not true because I'll see you probably tomorrow. But bye.